I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Ian Sietse.
And this is a World War II in real-time special, super awesome, double secret bonus collaboration special together with Paradox Interactive, who make the game Hearts of Iron, and they have sponsored us for this fantastic extravaganza and intro. We have done a collaboration with Paradox before, with Hearts of Iron, a two-part what-if thing about the Spanish Civil War. There will be links in the description, and that was really fun. Was that not really fun?
That was a great time.
That was awesome. And this is going to be even more awesome because there's this thing today, which is sort of a setup, and then where there's going to be a live stream the week of November 20th when we're actually doing gameplay. Now, we don't know the exact date and time yet, but it will be in the pinned comment. So set your alarms for a couple days from now and keep coming back to the pinned comment, and you will get it. Now, why are we doing this? Well, one, we really like the game, and two, they have a new DLC called No Step Back that comes out on November 23rd. And it has to do with something called an Eastern Front. I'm not really certain. I'm gonna talk to our guy Ian here. I'm gonna talk to our guy Ian here. I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry. I'm gonna talk to our Ian here, who is our community manager. Are you not?
I am indeed.
And you play games.
I do play quite a few games.
And we're gonna talk about what this is and what we're gonna set up. And I'm probably gonna have a few things to say, and I'm gonna spin out and go mental because that's what I do. Right?
Right.
Right. We got two cameras, so I keep doing that. You can cut that out or not. Anyhow, I'm looking at this map here, right?
Right.
And I can't help seeing that this looks like the former Soviet Union, yes?
It is indeed. What we're actually looking at here is a kind of Soviet-German front.
Okay, so this is the Great Soviet-German War.
Not quite.
Okay, so the Great Eastern War.
Well, there was also a western part of a war too.
So, well, you can't call it Great East-West War. Were there other places in the world involved?
Actually, this war encompassed the entire world.
So it was the Great Global War.
Well, not quite. It was the second Great Global War.
So it was the Great Global War 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great Global War 2.0.
Okay, now enough levity. As all of you, I assume, know, I know a fair amount about the Second World War, don't I?
Yeah, I would say so myself.
That's why we hire him, because he says, yeah, you're the best, Mr. Nidell. You the best, right? You don't have to call me Mr. Nidell, except on camera.
You the best, Mr. Nidell.
That's my guy. That's Ian Sietse, man. Community manager to the stars. Anyhow, I know a great deal about the Second World War, and what we're going to do now is he's going to set up a game, and then we're going to do, like we say, the live stream gameplay, and it's going to be a lot of fun, right?
I think so.
Now, for the setup, what we talked about is we're going to set up for Operation Saturn or Operation Little Saturn. We haven't really decided which is something that happened in December 1942. Now, can you zoom out a little bit? Can you go make it no, the other way? Yeah? Right. Oh, wow. Germany's got a lot of land, don't they? Can't help but notice somebody's been eating their Wheaties.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, in this particular part of the war, in this Eastern Front, in this great global hell of a war, in November 1942, after several months of being battered by the Axis forces, which wasn't just Germany, as we all know, the Soviets launched not just one counterattack, but a whole bunch of counterattacks. They launched Operation Uranus in the southern part of the front on November 19th and 20th, which ended up cutting off and encircling the German Sixth Army under Friedrich Jose Paulus, which is his nickname, isn't it?
That is indeed Jose Paulus.
We're trying to make that a global thing. I've mentioned it a couple times in World War II. I think it'd be cool if everybody in the world called him Jose Paulus. Yeah? And if people say that's disrespectful, I'll be like, what?
I always thought his name was Jose Paulus, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, Jose.
You have cool parents, Ian Sietse. My parents didn't talk about General Paulus very often, to be honest. It wasn't our dinner time conversation.
General Jose.
But now, the Operation Uranus, when it kicked off, it surrounded the Sixth Army and smashed the Romanian Third Army and did a lot of damage to the Romanian Fourth Army. Meanwhile, a few days later, further north, They launched Operation Mars on the Rzhev salient, and there's some debate as to whether or not that was a distraction to tie the Axis down, or whether these were sister operations, one designed to encircle and destroy the Sixth Army, and one designed to circle and destroy Walter Model's Ninth Army. I am inclined to the latter because they actually used more men that attack in Operation Mars. They used like nearly 700,000 men. And the first day of Operation Uranus was only 500,000 men. And when you distract, you usually distract with something smaller to distract from the bigger thing and not the other way around. That's logic. But then again, it is the Soviet Union. Logic does not play a part in our plans. Insert laughter.
That's actually in the Soviet field manual right there.
It is insert laughter. Oh my gosh, you're a genius. We have to get a copy of a Soviet field manual. And it's like, oh, and then all three companies are to launch themselves into suicidal attacks against these embedded machine guns. Hopefully we can take this embedded machine gun nest. Insert laughter. That'd be perfect, right?
I think it could work.
So, well, Operation Mars, and there's attacks even further north on Veliki Luki. Operation Mars did not succeed, but it certainly didn't succeed as well as Operation Uranus did. The Ninth Army is very much active as December comes, and in December, if you were the Axis, you'd be thinking, well, maybe we should launch some sort of counterattack to try and get to the Sixth Army in Stalingrad while they maybe try to break out, since we don't want to just leave them there all winter because it gets a little cold.
Of course.
And they have 25,000 horses. You know what Paulus did, Jose Paulus? They had 90,000 horses, over 90, but he actually managed to evacuate like 70,000 of the horses.
Wow.
Which is good because they eat a lot. They eat like horses.
He's some kind of animal rights activist when you think about him, or crusader.
Can we get a picture of Jose Paulus, animal rights activist? We're going to hell. The Soviets had follow-on operations planned for after Mars and after Uranus. After Mars was going to come Operation Jupiter, which was canceled because of the failure of Mars. But after Operation Uranus was going to come Operation Saturn. And this is what we're going to set up, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Or what the Soviets actually ended up doing was Operation Little Saturn. Because there were some changes, and the main change being that the Soviet counterattack, Operation Winter Storm, began on December 12th. And now we're going to look at this map, and I'm going to make some points, and you're going to have to do some stuff.
We're going to have to fix this up a little.
Okay, so we're going to do this from December 12th. Right. Okay, now, first of all, the Soviets have this territory by then. They got this, they got that.
This and that. That's all Soviet territory.
Add those to the Soviets.
Here we go.
They actually do have some of this as well, but let's just leave it like this. We can be fine. Now, and this is some contested area. The Axis have a little more of this, but I'm not going to worry about that. Here, I'm going to tell you what the whole plan for actual big Saturn is, right? Now, the plan for... Here's Stalingrad, right?
Right.
So Uranus took this territory, cut off and encircled the Sixth Army of Stalingrad, smashed the Romanian army, and now the counterattack is going to be the 4th Panzer Army, Hermann Hoth in charge, the 6th and 23rd Panzers, and what's left of the Romanian 6th and 7th Corps put together because they're still soldiers, they're just no longer organized. They're going to be driving against the 51st Army, trying to get to Stalingrad. Originally, the plans were, they were making them at the Golikov's Voronezh front headquarters on November 25th, all the way back there, but the 7 planes that were flying all of the high command guys, all the big generals and all the leader there, 6 of them crashed. Every time we do something with paradox, it involves a plane crash. You guys remember the Sanjurjo plane crash? The stupidest plane crash of all time? These weren't stupid. This was bad weather and bad flying conditions. 6 of them crashed. No one died. None of the big generals, which was convenient for the Soviets. And the one plane that did actually make it through was the one actually carrying all the plans and stuff. Now, these guys were flying without any insignia or rank, so had they died, it would have been hard to figure out, people would have to, figure out who they are. But still, they eventually made it there. They made the plans for Saturn, and the plans were, after all this has happened, this is close enough, right? After all this was happened, what was going to happen was 6th Army from the Voronezh front and the 1st and 3rd Guards Army from the Southwestern front, right? With a 2nd Guards Army, right? 2nd Guards Army, they were going to drive out. They were going to hit where they thought the enemy was at the weakest, which was the Italian 8th Army and Army Group Holit, the German Army Group Holit. They're going to hit right between them, smash through the Italian 8th Army, and head towards Milerovo, and then hopefully towards Rostov, which would split the front, which would cut off Kleist and Army Group A down in the Caucasus, and would encircle a lot more, and is very, very ambitious. Thing is, when Winter Storm begins Well, actually, even before Winter Storm begins, they've already simplified Saturn. They've decided that the Second Guards Army is going to help eradicate the Stalingrad pocket, because they realize they've got these 300,000 people in and around Stalingrad, but the armies they have, the fighting from the southwestern, the Don, and the Stalingrad front, they realize by, say, December 4th or 5th, they are not enough to eliminate that pocket. They can't eliminate it by themselves. So Second Guards is diverted. Now this is the mobile shock group of Operation Saturn. They're diverted to fight in the Stalingrad pocket. Now, so they spend like 3 or 4 days setting up and moving, but before they can do that, they get diverted again. So the Axis powers have been working up a counterattack, because you can't just leave your guys trapped in Stalingrad. Right. And that counterattack, Winter Storm, kicks off, as I told you, the troops, kicks off on the 12th from Kotelnikovo, which is somewhere around there. So they have a little more of this territory, but it doesn't matter. Just before that launches off, the 5th Tank Army and the 5th Guards Army are fighting down here and taking territory on the Cheer and stuff, which is kind of worrying Erich von Manstein, who's in charge of Army Group Don, which is one who's going to be driving up there. All right, so on the 12th, that counterattack kicks off, and that makes Stavka think, oh crap, we've only got the 51st Army. They're fighting back against that whole Army Group Don. So they divert 2nd Guards Army again. Remember, who was originally to go to Milerovo and then Rostov, and then to attack the Stalingrad pocket. Right. They divert them to defending with 51st Army against this attack, right? So 2nd Guards Army is not part of Saturn or Little Saturn. And Little Saturn will go off. It will go off against the 8th Army. It will go off against Army Group Holit, but it will not be aiming at Milerovo. It's going to be much more limited strikes down here. I'm not going to tell you how successful it is, except that it starts off being really successful. Okay? So that's what you're going to be playing. Okay? You have a rough setup enough. I would say by December 12th, the Soviets have this and this because of the fighting on the Cheer River. Give them that, even though it's a little, I wish you could cut them in half, but it's a little more than they had, but it doesn't matter. Right. So that's the situation. They're going to be attacking this way. The Soviets are going to be attacking here. And now in January 1943 came part 2 of Little Saturn, which did go to Milerovo and attack the Hungarians. That's a totally different story. Oh my God, we'd be crazy to try to cover that much.
We don't have that many hours in a day, I don't think.
We don't have that many hours in a day. All right. Okay. Now, how do you set things up? Tell me this. Because I'm assuming a lot of people here don't know how Hearts of Iron works. Do you deploy armies? Do you deploy divisions? What's involved in setting up Saturn or Little Saturn?
Well, the smallest unit you're going to have access to in a game like this is mainly going to be your division.
Can you zoom in on Stalingrad just to see how that works? Oh, cool.
So looking over here, we can see right in the center of Stalingrad, we've got a whole unfortunate bunch of German and Romanian troops that have been stuck inside that part of the Soviet Union. And you can see around, they've been completely cut off by Soviet divisions encircling them.
Okay.
Now, with your one division, you can go and send them every which way you like. But if you want to become a little bit more tactical about how you do it, you can add divisions into armies and army groups.
So you can, well, we're not going to do it now, but you're going to sit down before the live stream and you're going to use, you can use David Glantz. There's plenty of good sources, but Glantz or Ericsson or somebody like that to actually get the right divisions and the right armies and set it up for Saturn or Little Saturn.
We're going to try our damn hardest, and we're going to get as close as you can get.
Are you going to try to do Saturn as it was originally intended, which would be sort of a what if, because that never happened? Or are you going to do Little Saturn and see if you have the same initial successes that the Soviets had?
I think we're going to go with the Operation Little Saturn, try to keep it as close to the history as possible. Okay. And we're going to see how that could have played out more or less successfully.
Because that's interesting, because I know a bunch of the figures of this, and I'm really looking forward to this live stream, because Romanenko is running the 5th Tank Army and stuff, and you can tell by a lot of the orders they're getting, by even like the 8th and 9th of December, that Stalin and Stavka and Vatutin and stuff don't really trust him so much anymore. But then he's doing really well. But, once you're not trusted so well, and it's the Soviet Union, that's kind of a mark and stuff. And they're creating new armies. Like the 5th Shark Army was relatively newly created for Popov, and the 2nd Guards Army put together for, was it Malinovsky? Yeah, Malinovsky. Where are you going to use the 2nd Guards Army? Are you going to use it as they did to help defend against the 4th Panzer Army, or are you going to use it as maybe shock troops of Little Saturn, because that wouldn't be too wrong. I mean, that wasn't done in history, but that was planned in history.
It's true. Well, that's like the beauty that we have over here is we can experiment and use different things. But I think that I'm going to take the advice of the Soviet High Command and General Staff, and I'm going to make sure that I'm deploying those to
the second guards are going to be there. And so you'll use the 1st and 3rd guards and the 6th Army from the Voronezh front to come down between the Italian 8th Army and German Army Group Holit, while 5th Shock and 5th Tank are still going attacking along the Don and the Cheer and attacking out that way.
Exactly.
This is going to be really cool. And now, since this is all, since history doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? Right. Since history doesn't happen in a vacuum, we're going to, down south, you still got Kleist and Army Group A down there, not too far away in the Caucasus.
Exactly.
And they've been getting hit as well. And they decide in mid-December that they can't spend the winter on the Terek River. So they are going to have to retreat. So if you can actually expand Little Saturn, if you can do the second phase of it earlier, if you're able to, earlier than the Soviets, then it's theoretically possible that you could reach Rostov, which would in fact cut off Army Group A in the Caucasus before the winter, which would be interesting. You might be really overextending yourself. And there were Soviet issues with overextension, but this is going to be really fun, isn't it?
I think it's going to be very exciting.
Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And this is what we're going to do in the live stream, is do all this kind of stuff. What do you guys think? It's going to be cool, yeah?
I think it's awesome. What's the most surprising what could be the most surprising outcome of this?
For me, the most surprising outcome would be if Jose Paulus attempted some sort of breakout to join Hermann Holt and Manstein's Army Group Dawn, and they actually succeeded in relieving Stalingrad. Now, the thing is, even if they did that, they've got bigger fish to fry by the time Saturn launches. Because even Manstein, after the 20th and 21st and 22nd of December, when he's asking first Paulus and then asking Army High Command, and then Hitler himself to have Paulus please just break out so we can do something. And he realizes he cannot achieve both of his objectives, that is, stopping Little Saturn and relieving Stalingrad. He can hopefully keep the air bases free to keep what Goering says will be enough supplies flying into Stalingrad. On Christmas Eve, actually, though, they hit the Soviets hit the air bases so bad and savaged so many transport planes that day, Christmas Eve, 1942, exactly 0 supplies are flown into Stalingrad by the Luftwaffe, which seems to be a harbinger of things to come. I would be surprised if the 2 phases of Little Saturn, if the second phase could reach Rostov in enough strength to prevent a breakout from Army Group A. I would be interested in seeing how that would work. I will be surprised. I would be interested in seeing what the Hungarian Second Army does if they do anything before the second phase. I'm really interested just to see how this plays out, since I know how it plays out, really in technicolor detail and stuff. You gotta believe me, I know a lot about this war. But that's what you are going to see when we do this live stream. I'll be here and you'll be playing. We might have another one of our crew playing as well. Hopefully. That would be great. It'd be nice to have it on a bigger scale. But you guys will be here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it will be the week of the 20th, November 20th. The new DLC comes out the 23rd, right?
23rd.
And it's called No Step Back, which is the Stalin order. You get the idea if you've watched the regular episodes. And if you haven't, you should be watching the regular weekly episodes. So all the stuff that I'm talking about makes some kind of contextual sense. So that is it for today. Camera 1, camera 2. This is my smile camera. And this is my serious camera. Well, Ian, this is the first time you and I have done a collaboration, right?
Absolutely, and it's been quite a pleasure to join you here on the set, Indy.
Yeah, it's been fun having you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks to Paradox as well, and really looking forward to playing this. It's going to be super awesome, and I look forward to seeing you guys, all you guys, in just a couple of weeks, right?
Just a couple of weeks' time. Make sure to tune in. Link is in the description for the live stream. Link's in the description for the DLC.
And Hearts of Iron, Paradox Interactive, sponsorship. Check it out.